All right, guys, it is officially the 6th day of the year. I haven't bought a project or a car yet, so that's exactly what we're gonna do today. This is actually not a separate project, but rather a big and somewhat critical piece to an existing project, the 4-wheel drive drag truck. We're gonna finally get a cab for this thing, which is pretty awesome. So, Saturday morning, what do? You go get the trailer loaded up, and you get some stuff. So my objective really quick: 1, get the trailer; 2, get the chassis; 3, head back down to the shop because I forgot my cab mounts and I want to have the body placed under the frame. And then step 4, go to the place, load up the frame. We'll see how that goes. The guy said he might have a forklift. And step 5, load it up and come home. And step 6, probably wash it because the roads today, they're a little bit wet and nasty because we got some snow. So what better way to kick off the new year than with a new project? Sort of. If you're unfamiliar with what the drag truck is, let me kind of give you the Cliff Notes version because this was all spread out over about a year. I originally picked up a 4-wheel drive frame to act as a replacement for the 2-wheel drive frame and ugly truck because originally I wanted to convert it from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive. But as I bought more and more parts, the more I realized, well, basically we've got 2 trucks here. So rather than taking one apart to make another version of itself, why not just build a second truck? So once we got the chassis into the garage, this was back in Utah, but we got everything stripped down and there was a little bit of damage on the frame from where a lift kit had been previously installed. So we had to cut the lower control arm mounts off and weld some replacements in. Of course, we use the TIG welder on everything that we possibly can whenever it's convenient. So we got the mounts replaced, the lower diff mount reinstalled, a couple of sleeves that were chopped out. All fixed up. This is the new front suspension we used. We got some aluminum spindles, we got some Viking coilovers, and of course, if you know, these trucks originally are a torsion bar setup, so it does require a little bit of custom work to make them work with coilovers. So chop off the old upper shock mounts. I came up with my own upper shock towers and some other miscellaneous parts. We got the shock towers welded onto the frame, and kind of more or less that's what it looks like. It's much lighter than stock, and we got some pretty good shocks on there for axle or for wheel control at a high power level. Out back, we're running a spring slider system that's a little bit different from the shackle that it normally would have had, and we have some Calvert split monoleaf springs. We have a Got Torque Differentials 14-bolt semi-floater for plenty of strength because our end goal is like 1,500 horsepower. There we are moving into the new shop in Colorado. And then we got right to work. We chopped out some rear cross members because I had an aluminum fuel tank that just wouldn't fit in between them. So we replaced the cross members with a straight section of pipe. We moved the front one forward just a little bit. We got everything welded up so it looks just like factory. But that's kind of more or less the chassis. Of course, we did a C-notch to let it set just a little bit lower. Once again, more welding, probably burned pounds of wire on this thing. Funkhauser race car's rear anti-roll bar. Last week I had a little bit of time to finish up the rear end of this frame to get the anti-roll bar installed, the fuel tank back in, and the axle underneath the truck. So now I have what I believe is the ultimate 4-wheel drive drag truck rolling chassis that basically, well, just needs a truck to put on top of it. Alrighty, step 1, we have got to load up the trailer. Now, the bad thing about living in a neighborhood, which I live in a decent one, there's an HOA, but it's not like a complete pain in the butt. But the bad thing is there is not room to park the trailer. I don't think they would mind if I had it, but it's like gonna come out here every time I want to go get something. So we'll get her loaded up. Glad I remembered the hitch. That's pretty important. And we will go to stop number 2. Alrighty, so we made it to stop number 2. Objective, load that onto the trailer, of course. 1, get a flat tire. I don't know why this thing always goes flat. I got a pig tank that doesn't hold a whole lot of air, so we'll get that pumped up. We'll get this thing manually load it up because, of course, I do not have a trailer with a winch on it. I don't know why. I planned on it, but I have the old school manual come along, as we used to call it, so a little bit of physical labor this morning. Didn't even bring a tripod today. I am not prepared. Close enough. Well, the longest come along I could find only has 10 feet of cable on it, so we gotta kind of double this thing up here and take 2 hits at it, but we'll get her on. All right, final stop before we hit the road for good. I just had to go to the shop because I forgot this tote, which has cab mounts in it. Now, this will not be like a permanent installation because we got to get everything off for, like, you know, paint because this is all rusty. But the idea is just put those bad boys on there, bolt it all together. That way we don't have to worry about strapping the cab to the trailer. We'll just, you know, once and for all, stick it on, or not once and for all, but for temporary, next couple of months, bolt it on the chassis. Is it okay? I think that's it. We'll probably have to fine tune it a little bit to get the bolts going out, but we can move it from there. Yeah. So just a little while later, we are home and I am beyond excited because this cab is in way better condition than I even would have hoped. I kind of like the color, actually. We'll probably paint this truck when it's all done. I want it to look kind of nice. Of course, the frame, we talked about that. We are going to sandblast and coat it. This is just kind of like, you know, for mock-up because we got a ton of work to do left on the drag truck. I'll give you the quick tour. 05 extended cab. Obviously, the dash is missing. The customer, I talk like I'm at work. The seller of the truck bought it because he used the chassis, the engine, and some interior stuff as a donor for a 4-door square body project he was doing, so he didn't need the cab. This was in very nice shape. I mean, it's got great seats. I might even swap these over to the ugly truck, to be honest, because they're that nice. The dash is out, which we'll find just the shell, but this truck's going to get a roll cage, so the dash would have had to come out anyhow. We'll pull the HVAC out. Probably it'll have some lightweight race seats in here. I'm not sure about the door panels if I keep those or not, because even though it's going to be kind of racy, I do want it to be a little bit nice for, you know, drag and drive type stuff. But yeah, it's like pretty much 100%. I don't not complete, but it's 100% there. The only damage is right up here. You can see there's a little bit of a bend on the hinges, and there's a little bit of damage here because the truck that this was on was in the front end collision, and it must have hit that corner, and it just barely wrinkled some of this. So I think what my plan is I mean, we could probably just straighten it out, but I also might just go to like a junkyard and cut out a little bit of a section, because I think mainly here, like there's that spot weld section, I can probably just chop that area and kind of replace it. Obviously needs a windshield, but yeah, fell right into place on the drag truck chassis. Needs a little bit of cleanup because, you know, the roads are pretty nasty. Just got a little bit of salt and guck on there. We'll get that cleaned up, and then we'll probably put it back into storage for a little bit. But I am so pumped. Like, just, you guys have no idea how, like, just putting a cab on here reinvigorates me on this project. It's been back burner for a long time, but like, it's basically a truck now. It went from just being a frame to being a complete vehicle. So I'm so pumped, so excited to get back on this. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get there, but I'm so excited. Major step. Now I gotta find sheet metal. So it's gonna have a regular 6-foot bed on the back and on the front. This is a 2005 model year. I'm gonna do probably the 07 style front end because I like how they look, and because there's a little bit more room up front for intercoolers, because this, remember, we'll have the 535 big block. I want to do twin turbos, and then, you know, we need all that space for intercoolers and stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I'll wrap this video up, but thank you for watching. I am so excited right now. And before you know it, this will be a running and driving drag truck.